So, the Toronto Maple Leafs have played their first 2 preseason games, and they didn't win either of them! It's officially time to panic! It is the Ben Harper apocalypse! No. Realistically, they were 2 preseason games, which already don't matter, and the first 2 preseason games super don't matter. So, there's a game tonight, there's a bunch of games going forward. Let's take a look at the first 2 games, what was said after them, and what that might mean for the rest of the preseason. What are you looking at in the preseason? You looking at wins and losses? I don't think so. The Leafs typically do pretty well in the preseason, and weirdly, it hasn't led to a berth in the second round. To me, I'm looking at things like who's rusty and who's going, who's making mistakes because they're rusty, and who's making mistakes because they're not good enough. And, this is kind of important, motivation. So the Leafs lose their first game. That one was in Newfoundland and was a lot of fun. The slightly new look line of John Tavares and Mitch Marner, 2 players who weren't even at camp like the day or 2 before, along with Zach Hyman. Nope. Kasperi Kapanen was added to that left side. Another right-hand shot with a little bit of snarl and skill. Kapanen took a penalty. Didn't like that. Marner gave away the game-winning goal. Didn't like that. But if you watch the rest of the game, I don't think those 2 things should bother you. Especially with the way Mitch Marner was playing in this game. Just flying out there, his hands and feet were both still there. A lot of clean zone entries. He looked great. I'd rather him give the puck away for a really stupid and costly goal in the preseason and have him remember it now than committing that mistake in November, December, maybe even in the playoffs. I don't like the fact that the team only got 1 goal. I do like the fact that Kasperi Kapanen got it. I don't think Kasperi Kapanen and Zach Hyman are the same player. I don't. But there's something there. Hyman plays a bigger, heavier style, grinds in the corners. Kapanen is probably faster and more skilled, but he's kind of mean too. If you play with Marner and Tavares, you better be in front of the net with your stick on the ice. Kapanen was, and he got rewarded. That to me is a nice lesson for a guy who's going to be on that line for at least a month. Coming out of that game, Babcock said some controversial things about Jason Spezza. We go to find out if he's interested. What's funny is if you watch the YouTube clip, which is perfectly available, it was the talk of Leafs Twitter a couple days ago, and I'm looking on the Maple Leafs official YouTube channel, and this video only has 9,000 views. Guys, the quote is there. Now, I've watched it. I still think it was a weird way of phrasing it, but if you watch the whole thing, there was a flavor to what Babcock was saying. The first thing I noticed is he only praised the big players, and he said big no less than 9,000 times. But I think, and this is just me guessing what's going on in Babcock's head, he knew the first game was going to suck because it's the first game. This team has a clear lack of size, and he would like to see someone with size step up and impress. And one of the first guys he mentioned was Freddie Gauthier, who I've basically written off. I've talked about how I think he's going to get traded at some point in the next few weeks, maybe month or 2, and he ended up being fantastic. He had a breakaway, he had a few scoring chances. He did not look like a minor leaguer. So the one quote about Jason Spezza, we got to find out if he's interested, that was very pointed. Okay, we're going to have him penalty killing and stuff he's not necessarily used to. He's got to play a 4th line grinding depth role. But if you watch everything Babcock said after the game, it was a message to the entire team. I need big, hard-working players to actually make an effort. Believe me, I was concerned when I saw that Spezza quote on Twitter too, because I was watching like, how could you watch that first game and come away with anything bad to say about Jason Spezza? He looked fantastic, but I'm just waiting to see how that evolves. And by the way, the situation has evolved from Jonas Siegel. At Leafs practice, they appear to be working with a line of Jason Spezza on the right wing, Freddie Gauthier in the middle, and Trevor Moore on the left. It's the 3rd game of the regular season. You probably still shouldn't take too much from that, but that's potentially the 4th line, isn't it? I'd even thought after the first game, because Gauthier was so good, what if they did some sort of 4th line thing that's it's a little bit like the Matthews-Nylander dynamic. The left-handed guy takes the left-handed face-offs, the right-handed guy takes the right face-offs. Except the wing and center aren't the same position, and just because you're a center doesn't necessarily mean you'll be a good winger. If only there was a time where you could experiment. Oh wait, the preseason. So I'm not that worried. If it's a week from now they look mediocre and they're still together, I'll be like, oh. If it's a week from now they look mediocre and they're still together, I'm going to be concerned. I mentioned the difference between rust mistakes and you're just not good enough mistakes. In the first game, we got that new look pairing, Jake Muzzin, who's still practically a new Leaf, and Tyson Barrie. I think it was their first shift. Boom, breakaway against. That doesn't surprise me, and I don't think it should surprise anyone. Tyson Barrie's brand new to the team. Jake Muzzin is still less than half a season deep with the Leafs, and those two have never really played together. I don't know, maybe internationally? Not in the NHL, man. So for them to play their first competitive hockey in months together and then make that mistake, I'm not concerned. Go into the second game, Ben Harpur on the penalty kill. The shot goes in, and it was his guy. He tried to block it, and he's nowhere near. That mistake, I'm still like, well, okay, it's the beginning of the preseason. Your timing is going to be off. The second goal, the term pylon is used far too much. But he was beaten, he was turnstiled like a stationary object. I appreciate the fact that he's willing to jump up in the rush. We saw that a few times. I appreciate the fact that he's willing to drop the gloves, albeit when your team has possession in the offensive zone. And I appreciate that that was his first preseason game and just the team's second. That was a poor showing for a guy who's hoping to make this team. He better improve because that was ghastly. No, not like the Pokemon. You can't send Pokemon to the minors. Matthews looks sick, so that's good. Nylander was dancing. Janssen was in there working hard. I mean, it wasn't a fantastic game for that line, but I thought they looked okay individually. There were little things poked at with Nylander's game. Oh, he's got to do this more. He's got to drive to the net or something. Yes, granted. I am literally just looking in their first game for do their skates work. Matthew Schott is there. His Chirpin's there. You see him? Who are you? What I was worried about with about a minute to go in the second game, which the Leafs were losing again, was the Leafs only had 3 goals, and they were from Kapanen, Matthews, and Matthews. Can someone else step it up and score? And finally, within the final minute, Nick Shore buried one. That was nice, sort of broke that little stalemate. And Mikheyev, or I guess I'm going to have to knock that off, Mikheyev, because everyone's calling him Mikheyev, got lots of praise from Babcock after the game, and it sort of goes back to what he was saying after the first game. Big, worked hard, all those things that he loved, and it was deserved. Mikheyev, I'm gotta get used to saying it now, was fantastic in the second game, and I think he was everything that Babcock wanted out of the lineup in the first game. Riley and Ceci, tough first period, but as the game went on, I thought they looked just fine. Riley's Riley. I wasn't even worried about him, but Ceci, he's advancing the puck up the ice, these nice little passes. I thought he was fine. The trouble with the first 2 games is the back half of both games, the Leafs are just all offense all the time because they're down, and I already know they're good at that. I'm not worried about it. Hopefully against the Sabres tonight or in any of the games going forward, the Leafs get out to an early lead. I want to see these guys defend. That's what I'm worried about. And speaking of defending and being worried about it, Michael Hutchison, huh? He had a couple really good saves, but not all those goals were grade A. Garrett Sparks, by the way, had a shutout in his preseason debut for Vegas. So, going forward, what are we looking for? Okay, we got to fill out the team's depth. I want to see another good performance from Mikheyev. I want to see Trevor Moore not get supplanted by this guy. I want him to play like someone's trying to take his spot. I want to see Gauthier's continued success. I want to see Spezza rise to the challenge, which could be tough for a guy who's been in the league this long, but I want to see him make Babcock look dumb. To me, the Leafs have like 3 fourth pairings, which sucks because they need a third pairing. So what I want to see going forward is people stepping up and taking that third pair role. Sandin in his first game, Liljegren in his first game, good. Give me more. I want to see another game out of Timo Kaviholmi. That guy might just make the team. He looked good. And just as much as the fourth line, just as much as the third pair, maybe even most importantly, I want to see someone grab that backup goalie role. We could really use it. And I don't think that role is going to be given away. If there's someone available on waivers in a week or two, the Leafs might take advantage of that. So you can't look around camp and go, okay, I don't have to be great, I just have to be better than you. No. If you're not good enough, you can be replaced from the outside as well. I want to see Kerfoot continue to improve at center. I want to see Pontus Aberg show that he can be an offensive force. Nick Petan, I want him to show why we made such a fuss about him a few months ago. Didn't it seem pointless? This is show me time. They had an opportunity to shake off all the cobwebs. I'm not going to take anything I saw too seriously, but going forward, this is your time to shine. Who's got it? Leave a comment down below. Who are you most interested in seeing? Who do you think already has a locked up spot? Who do you think is going to disappoint? Who do you think is going to impress? That is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends that it's only the preseason. But come on, it's the preseason! Once again, thank you very much for watching. I have a link down below. I'm trying to raise $50,000 for a charity that helps kids with physical disabilities called Easter Seals Ontario. If you could please donate anything you have. $1,000, $100, $50, $20, $5, anything. It will help, and I'll be so grateful. Thank you.